Hello, I'm Queen Mabel Jarman from the Charm Girls of the Red Hat Society here at WBLC's historic Studio D. You're watching Delmarva Life.
And want to welcome all of the Red Hatters we have in the audience today. Always fun when they're in Historic Studio D. Well, you know, summer ends in just about a month, and you may be thinking about what to do with your garden. Well, there are still plenty of options that will have your garden buzzing and with beautiful birds and butterflies. Joining us today to show us more is Ginny Rosenkrantz, gardening expert and extension educator, commercial horticulture at the University of Maryland Extension. I had to look over it again because you have such a long title. So, you know, this is a great time of year. We were just talking about all the butterflies and the grasshoppers and everything out, but the butterflies are going to migrate, so we want to invite them to our garden.
Yes, and they really need to have a lot of nectar because they've got a long way to go before they get to where it's really going to be warm all winter. And for us, we get to have a beautiful collage of color in our garden too. That's really beautiful. You know, that gives us pleasure too. And not only the butterflies, but the hummingbirds too. So that's always good. And there's so many things you can do. I mean, if you have sun, you can plant a lot of things. If you have shade, there's a couple of things too. But it's a lot of fun.
And we don't normally think about planting this time of year, but this is a great time to plant.
Absolutely. You know, now is a great time for a lot of reasons. One, the roots get firmly established into the ground, and they don't have to worry about doing a lot of other growing. They're just going to get established, and then come springtime, they're ready to burst into bloom. And you can also choose, especially if you're going to do something like the butterfly bushes or even the perennials, you can see what a lot of them are like and decide the colors that you want.
Now, what are the best flowers or bushes to attract the butterflies and hummingbirds?
Well, I know it's not a native, but the butterfly bush has lots of different colors. And one thing I want to point out is when you are a butterfly and you're landing on these flowers, it's not just one single flower. There's a lot of little flowers there, which gives you a whole buffet of nectar to choose from. And that works out really, really nicely because there are so many flowers there.
Yeah, and it gives different colors
too.
Yes,
and butterflies go to lots of different colors. Bees like to have the purples and the reds. Hummingbirds, they just like a lot of different colors too. So you'll find that there's going to be a lot of different things in the morning and the afternoon and in the late afternoon. There's going to be a lot more activity when it gets really warm.
Now, are these relatively easy to take care of? What kind of maintenance?
Oh heavens, these guys, if you have sun, you plant them in a sunny garden and you just let them grow. The one thing that you have to do is every year you need to, in the early spring, cut them down because they grow 10 feet. Some, yeah, some stay small, but some stay, you know, they can get very, very large. But they only bloom on new wood, so you always have lots and lots of flowers all through the summer. I mean, these guys, consistent. In the summertime, they will bloom all summer long.
Wow, and they're of course, producing a lot of pollen.
Yeah, well, yeah, they are a little bit of pollen, but for the most part, it's the nectar.
It's the nectar. Okay, I always get the pollen and the nectar confused.
Sure.
Right. Okay, and you have some other plants here.
Well, not everybody wants to plant things that are non-native, so I thought, okay, let's go with some natives. And I do have a couple of natives. I have some right here. This is Asclepia. This is called butterfly weed. It's a very, very tiny one right here. It's orange, and it's one of those things that the butterfly, all the monarchs actually need it to live their entire life cycle because the eggs are laid on this little plant right here. The caterpillars will eat the entire plant down, and then it'll grow back up, and then it'll have flowers, and then the butterfly will come and get the nectar from the flowers. So their entire life cycle revolves around this butterfly weed as opposed to the butterfly bush. So I do always try to have them. If you're going to have orange in your garden, you want to go ahead and have some blue. So I've got some salvia. This is Russian sage. These bloom all summer long. We have black-eyed Susans. That's our state flower, and the butterflies absolutely love it because they'll just land on these great big petals and use it as the buffet table right here, right in the center.
It's like their little chair they pull up.
And the same thing with the coneflower, and the same thing. This is not a native, but this is lantana, and funny smell, but lots and lots of flowers, and they don't mind the smell. Do you know how butterflies taste their food?
Through their nose?
With their feet.
With their feet.
When they land on a flower, they go, "Oh man, this tastes good."
That's interesting.
Yes.
Now, and that brings us. You have a rock here.
Oh, I know. I have a rock and I have a plate. The reason why I do that is butterflies need to get water. We all need to drink water. They need to drink water too. So what I'll do is I'll fill this plate with water, and they can walk down, and they don't have to dive into a deep swimming pool. They can just kind of walk in, and then they can land on the rock. Now the rock in the summertime will will get hot and they'll absorb the heat, and then they'll have a chance to go ahead and get a lot of energy and move on.
So we might want to put one of these out in our butterfly garden, just a simple plate with a rock on top with a little bit of water in it.
Make sure that and the nice thing about a small plate like this is you can always dump it so you don't have to worry about mosquitoes, which I think is very important.
All right, so we're talking about, we're still in summer, we're talking about fall planting.
Yes.
Why is it important to start thinking about it now?
Oh, because there are so many things available right now. And like I said, all these things do so well if you plant them now. I mean, like summer phlox, I absolutely adore summer phlox. So do the birds and butterflies. You plant it now, you can see where you're going to be planting, get the colors together, and it's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous.
It's all gorgeous and it all smells so good.
Yes,
Ginny, thank you
it does.
so much for talking to us today about these. I'm going to go plant me some of this right now. I love butterflies.
There you go.
If you want some more information, some tips and tricks for gorgeous gardens, go to delmarvalife.com and click on the Show tab. So if you had a successful summer garden, you're probably wondering what to do with all of those leftover vegetables now that fall is almost here. Still ahead on Delmarva Life, we're talking canning, and we'll introduce you to a tool that will help make the process a lot easier and save you a lot of time. Delmarva Life, life at its best here on Delmarva.